Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news, and sometimes reviews. In this video, we're taking a look at the 8bitdo Pro 3 Bluetooth gamepad, and determining whether or not it can beat the current favorite of mine, 8bitdo Pro 2. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, I was sent these 8bitdo Pro 3s for a fair and honest review, and that's exactly what we're going to do here. It's worth noting my reviews have no restrictions on them whatsoever. I'm allowed to say and do whatever I want with these products. If I wanted to take a hammer to them and bash them in, that is a-okay, although I wouldn't recommend that considering I want to test out these controllers. Anyways, here there's three different colorways. There's one reminiscent of a Game Boy, a nice silver and gray one, and one reminiscent of a GameCube. Reminiscent necessarily isn't the right word for it here. How about colorway inspired? Now, for the record, I am a huge fan of the 8bitdo Pro 2. In fact, it's my current favorite controller. I think it's an absolutely fantastic controller overall, and I use it for pretty much everything. I mean, I take it with me camping. I take it on the road with me whenever we're traveling somewhere. And I use it at home. In fact, these things have been through quite a bit. You can see I'm not necessarily the most careful with these. I often just chuck them into a backpack and I'm off to the races. Either way, they hold up very good, and this is going to be a really tough controller to beat. If you are wondering, yes, I'm going to open up every single one of these controllers to test out here. And taking a look, we'll open up the gray one first, and we can see that it's packaged very well. The sticks have styrofoam around them to prevent damage, and the buttons are covered with a bit of a sticker. Unlike the Pro 2s, the Pro 3 controller does have a base, and this base can be plugged into your PC or Nintendo Switch or whatever. And there's also an instruction manual, which I would recommend checking out with these controllers if you've never used them before. Or if this is your first time with an 8bitdo Pro 3, like me, I did take a look at the instruction manual just to fully understand what this controller had to offer. And in this box here, there are some... I hate these things right out of the gate. I can tell you that. I do not like these little attachments to use instead of the joysticks. I mean, if you wanted to use these things, great. I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of people who actually like them. Putting them on the controller is pretty simple and straightforward. The joysticks just clip in, and then you can just put these in where the joysticks clipped in. I will say I absolutely hate these things, and I'm not going to be using them. And if you want my opinion on them, I don't think they should have been included with the controller in the first place. But they are there if you really, really want them. Now, taking a look inside the base, and on the bottom of the door, there are some magnetic buttons, and these are extra buttons if you wanted to swap out the buttons on the controller. All of the buttons are held together with magnets, and I already dropped one. Now, overall, I would say the magnets themselves are pretty strong. However, I will test that out in just a minute here and give you my thoughts on the magnet buttons. And there's also a tiny rubber plunger to help remove the magnet buttons from the controller. Inside the base, there's also a USB-C dongle, which you really shouldn't need to use. There is a little note in there that you can keep this plugged into the base and then just use the base plugged in USB-C to your Switch or your PC or even your Android phone if you want. We'll take a look at all three colorways pretty soon, and I just wanted to show you really quick how these buttons pull out. So that little rubber grip thing, you just press onto the button and pull away, and well, there you go. And I don't necessarily think you need to use this. From my experimenting here, you can just use your fingers, which is a big area of concern. So here's the look of the second controller, the GameCube inspired controller. And taking off this plastic piece here, and the first thing that came off with it was the buttons. And this is one of the areas of concern I have about this controller, and my biggest fears about it seem to be coming true. Those buttons easily coming off. Now, interestingly, this controller comes with yellow joystick caps if you wanted to use these instead. The other controller had red ones. And the USB-C cable on this one is purple, unlike black like the other one. So I would say here, in terms of overall variation, the GameCube-inspired one is the most colorful. And inside the base of this one, we've got those same SFC style of buttons, the same dongle, and same little rubber picker-upper for the buttons. And here is the third controller, the Game Boy-inspired controller, which might be my front runner for one of the favorites here. And taking off the sticker here, fortunately the buttons did not come with it. And for the record here, and interestingly, this one also comes with red joystick replacements. The ball tops are the exact same as the ones on the gray controller. I would have expected them to be purple to match the buttons, but I guess not. And taking a look in the base of this one, we've got the same USB-C dongle, we've got the rubber button remover, and we've also got the SFC style of buttons. Now overall here, I'm a big fan of the replacement SFC style of buttons. The only thing I don't like about them is that they don't have any lettering on them. I mean, if you take a look at the buttons on the controller, by default, they do have lettering built in. There is no lettering printed on the controller. So by replacing the buttons, you lose all sense of lettering if you actually need it. So here's a close-up look at the 8bitdo Pro 3 G Classic color. And the big unique thing about this one is the D-pad. It's a little bit different than the other two. Here's a close-up look at the purple color. We can see this is heavily inspired by the GameCube, although the controller's shape and style is completely different. The colorway is, it pays tribute to it. I think it's a little bit hard for the camera to pick up here, but I noticed that the printing on the buttons for this one is a little less clear than the other two controllers. And here's a close-up look at the gray controller, which I think a lot of people will like as well. The big difference between the gray controller and the other two is that this controller is two-tone. We've got light gray on the top and dark gray on the bottom. I am curious to know which controller you think looks the best, so let me know in the comments below, and we'll take a look at the back of the other two controllers as well. So here's the back of the purple controller, and we can see it matches the front very well. And here's the back of the G Classic controller, the Game Boy inspired controller, and you can see the back of this is the exact same color as the front. So now that we've taken a look at the color difference between each controller, let's take a look at the button layout here. And the buttons on the Pro 3 are very similar, at least on the face, to the Pro 2. The big difference are those magnetic buttons, and the D-pad has actually changed quite a bit. On the top of the controller here, we can see there's the addition of the L4 and R4 buttons. On the back of the controller here, we do have PR and PL buttons, and we also have switches to change the triggers between analog and digital, which is extremely helpful if you're playing on something like the Nintendo Switch or just looking for a quicker trigger. Now the joysticks on this one are TMR joysticks, and the triggers are Hall effect triggers. So overall, in terms of joystick drift, you probably won't really get any of that on this controller, at least not for an extremely long period of time. This controller should be relatively bulletproof, except for these magnetic buttons here. And this is immediately my biggest gripe with this controller. It is awesome that you can switch the buttons, but at the same time here, I mean, they come out really, really easy, and they're very shallow. I mean, for example here, I can just peel these right out with my fingers and not really have too much of an issue whatsoever. If you wanted longer buttons, I guess you can stack them up on each other considering they're magnet and use them that way. So I've got just one really long button here. But this part is highly concerning considering if I'm traveling with this or throwing it in my backpack. The fact that those buttons pop out so easily makes me wonder if I'd lose these buttons over time. So here is the Pro 3 side by side with the Pro 2. We can see the faces on these are almost the exact same. The top is almost the exact same except for the addition of the R4 and L4 buttons. The backs here are a little bit different considering the triggers on the Pro 3 can be changed from analog to digital, and the Pro 2 does have that removable battery. Now as for weight, the Pro 2 came in at 226 grams and the Pro 3 was a little bit heavier. It came in at 244 grams, give or take. I don't know the accuracy of my scale or what's official and what's not. This was just my testing. Now, in terms of overall controller comfort, I would say that the Pro 2 and the Pro 3 feel extremely similar. I think the shape is pretty much the exact same between the two controllers here, but I would say that the Pro 2 feels better balanced. The Pro 3 with the additional weight and the placement of the weight feels just a little bit off when compared with the Pro 2. On top of that, I would say the triggers on the Pro 2 have less resistance than the triggers on the Pro 3, although my Pro 2 is very well used. All of my Pro 2s are very well used, so that may be a non-factor. They may be very similar out of the box brand new, I don't know. But the D-pads on these do feel significantly different. The D-pads on the Pro 3 are more clicky with micro switches as opposed to a softer feeling on the Pro 2. So as for the overall feel of the D-pad, I would say the Pro 2 feels very similar to something like an SNES controller. You're probably very familiar with a feeling like that. And the Pro 3, well, the Pro 3's D-pad is very similar to their Ultimate series of D-pad. It does have micro switches underneath, or it feels like it has micro switches underneath. And that may be polarizing to some people, but I will say I really like the D-pad in the Pro 3. So in a head-to-head comparison between the Pro 2 and the Pro 3 so far, the Pro 2 I would say wins out on weight distribution and overall comfort, but the Pro 3 wins out on capabilities and features here and that D-pad. So let's get into actual testing now, and this is Tears of the Kingdom up and running on an actual Nintendo Switch. This is not emulated hardware or anything like that. And the Pro 3 here is responding very well. It's a very responsive controller, and I'm not noticing too much of an issue with it whatsoever. On fast movements, there is a little bit of delay, but that's expected with most Switch controllers out there. It's not necessarily a perfect one-to-one considering it is wireless. I mean, for reference, here's another wireless controller for the Switch, and you can see a bit of delay. It's not necessarily the controller's fault. It's literally a Switch and wireless connection thing. And for those wondering, here is an 8bitdo Pro 2. I chose a different color to make it obvious that it's a Pro 2. And this is connected via Bluetooth, and we can see there is also a little bit of latency here. Overall, I would say the 8bitdo Pro 3 has the edge in terms of latency compared with the Pro 2, considering the Pro 2 can only do wired or Bluetooth. Now, as for the D-pad in the Pro 3, I'm a huge fan of it. I think the D-pad is absolutely excellent. I am curious on the overall longevity and durability of it, but I will say out of the gate, this thing performs extremely well. It's extremely accurate. I wasn't missing any inputs. I was very, very happy with it. Now, as for the Pro 2's D-pad, I'm also a massive fan of it. I mean, if you're a fan of the SNES D-pad, you'll be right at home with the Pro 2's D-pad. And taking a look here, it's pretty much as accurate as the Pro 3's, but I would say the Pro 3's does feel a little bit more precise. Now, if you were interested in learning more about the Pro 3 versus the Pro 2, I'd recommend checking out 8bitdo's website where they compare the controllers against each other. And you can see the differences here in terms of overall specs. Furthermore here, if you wanted to see even more about this controller, I would recommend checking out Retro Game Core's video here that's almost 40 minutes long. Russ even put together this really nifty chart to showcase the shortcomings and the compatibility for the 8bitdo Pro 3 on various different platforms. So let's get into my likes and my dislikes here and whether or not I'd recommend the 8bitdo Pro 3 and how it stacks up in my opinion versus the Pro 2. And we'll start out here with the likes. So first and foremost here, I like the fact that they didn't change the design too much over the Pro 2. The overall form factor is extremely similar. I mean, there are a few differences here, like the locking triggers, switching from analog to digital, and also the R4 and L4 buttons. And the joysticks are TMR instead of Hall effect. These triggers are Hall effect. And, well, the whole charging base and the compatibility there, I think they did a really good job cramming as many features as possible into the Pro 3. And speaking about features and stuff, I didn't even cover the 8bitdo Ultimate software if you wanted to use that and tweak the controller even further. That is a huge option, especially even just for firmware updates. But in terms of overall form and function here, I was extremely happy with this. I thought it performed very well on the Switch. I thought it performed well on Android and on PC. And I am in love with the D-pad and the precision of it. And now moving into my dislikes, and there are a few of them here. I don't think that this is a completely perfect controller. The first thing I don't like about this, and this may be a deal breaker for some people, but I don't like those magnetic buttons. Some people may love them. I think it's a cool feature, but I also don't like how easy they are to take off. I'd be worried if I were to throw this into a bag that I would lose a button eventually. I mean, I don't even need the tool to take off these things. I can just use my fingers and just pry these buttons off. They're really not difficult to take off. And I don't like that at all. I kind of wish they were just fixed and not interchangeable. It's a cool feature, but I think unnecessary. The next thing I don't like about this controller are the joystick covers that they give, those additional ball tops. I really don't like them at all. I don't think they're necessary at all. And I guess if you like them, great. It's a nice option to have, but it's unnecessary in my opinion. And I also don't like the weight distribution as much as the Pro 2. I think the Pro 2 is better distributed where the controller naturally feels like it's going forward, where the controller here on the Pro 3 feels like it's pulling back a little bit, just the overall balance. I could be wrong with that one. It's just the way the controller feels in my hands, especially from extended gaming sessions. So before I get into my overall recommendation, let's take a look at the price. And the price of the 8bitdo Pro 3 is currently $69.99, basically $70. And I do recommend checking out Acnes, who is an official 8bitdo retailer here, and they sometimes have unique colors. We can see there may be an orange one on the way. Now the 8bitdo Pro 2, this one is priced at $49.99, so $50. So we've got $50 versus $70. And the big question is the Pro 3 $20 better than the Pro 2? And the answer I would say is yes and no. So overall, would I recommend the Pro 3? And the answer is absolutely yes, hands down. If you're interested in this controller, I would say it's probably worthwhile to pick it up. I think it's an absolutely fantastic controller. I would say if you're interested in fighting games, this may be one of the best fighting pads on the market. You could disagree with me on that one, and I think you would be wrong. I mean, all you have to do is just flip this over so that it's not an analog trigger anymore, and you've got a very precise, very good fight pad overall, and probably more durable than some of the other ones out there. I mean, for those wondering, I used to play fighting games competitively. Was I the best player out there? No, absolutely not. I got stomped quite a bit, but I mean, I have played against people like Justin Wong and Daigo and Alex Valle and even more. And I would say here from a fighting game perspective, I would recommend the Pro 3 over the Pro 2. So take that for what it's worth here. And if you want to throw that recommendation out the window, that's fine too. But I would say, though, that this is an absolutely fantastic controller for fighting games. Additionally, here for pretty much all other games, this controller is also amazing. I love the feature set. I love the overall robustness of the controller. It does feel very well built. And I love everything this controller has to offer. However, and this is the big however, for travel and for Android use specifically, I'd probably recommend the Pro 2 over the Pro 3. In my opinion here, in terms of balancing, and if you're playing for very long game sessions, I found the Pro 2 to be more comfortable for longer gaming sessions than the Pro 3. And I also think the Pro 2 will hold up better for being thrown into a backpack or something like that, considering this does not have those magnetic buttons, which I don't like at all. I mean, personally here, if you're looking just for a really good all-around controller that you plan on taking with you to different areas and whatnot and don't want to break the bank, I think the Pro 2 fits that bill at $50. I think this is a very, very good bang for your buck. However, if you're looking for the best of the best for most situations and you don't really plan on moving it from home or anything like that, taking it on the road or anything like that, I would say the Pro 3 probably is the way to go here. I love the Pro 3. I think it's an absolutely amazing controller. I mean, at the end of the day here, realistically, for $70 in today's market, I think 8bitdo hit a home run. So if you are looking for the best of the best from 8bitdo, in my opinion, it's the Pro 2 and the Pro 3. I don't think you can go wrong with these choices, unless you're looking for something that these things can't do. But either way here, I do think this is the best of what 8bitdo has to offer. And for the big question here, does the Pro 3 beat the Pro 2 in terms of which controller is my favorite? The answer here is yes. The Pro 3 specifically because of the fighting game angle. I think this is an absolutely fantastic controller, and I am over the moon that the D-pad is this good on it. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. Huge shoutouts to 8bitdo for actually making the Pro 3 controller. I thought after they started making the Ultimate series of controllers that the Pro 3 would kind of go by the wayside. I am really, really happy they continued on with this series. And I mean, I bugged them enough about it, but I don't think they were listening. I really am happy that they made this, and I'm happy with this controller overall. And also huge shout outs to them. And I think it was Acnes who sent me the actual controllers for review. We talked about this for quite a bit. Let me know your thoughts about the 8bitdo Pro 3 versus the Pro 2 and just the Pro 2 in general and the Pro 3 in general in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button. Check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate. Save your state.